welcome. I'm glad for you, because all this stuff I don't understand. You're fine. I'm not. This is what it is. Thank you.
You know, I like to listen to Danny. I like to listen to people that are learning and trying to learn, and
True.
I try to learn myself each and every day. We hear a lot of things as we go through our life. We hear a lot of things, and
That's good.
we do a lot of things, and see a lot of things, and we hear people say things that's happened. The other night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I was laying in the bed. I was sound asleep, just asleep. And something woke me up, as woke up as I am right now. And it put a word in my heart. So I sat down, and I'd worked on this a little bit before, but I sat down and I started going through my references, and I went through my Bible. And this morning as I go through this, I'm going to be all through the Bible, so there's no use trying to keep up with me, okay? But I want you to think, as I go through each verse, what he's really trying to say to us here this morning, and what he's saying about what we'll talk about this morning. Think about it and understand it. He said, you know, we was talking the other night, and we had a real good service Wednesday night. Most of us was here, and we talked about how we should be when we come before God, what we should wear, and all the things. And as everybody was making, I like to listen.
Sure.
And as everyone was making, you know, what they thought and all that, the word heart just kept coming to me. What's in my heart? What's here? What does God see when he looks in here? Think about that this morning, because that's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about what is in your heart. First thing I done, I got my reference out and I looked in my reference, and in the Bible, the brain is mentioned 826 times. Now this is strictly by reference. And once you get in there and get to looking, it's a lot. It's in there a lot. But the mind, or the brain, is not really mentioned. The mind is mentioned 96 times. Now you think about that. So what's he telling you? The first thing, well, he knows what's here, and that's what's important. We have to have a clean heart. And I'm going to start out here first in Samuel. And he said on 16:7, he said, but the Lord said to Samuel, look not on the countenance or on the height of the stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Now you think about that this morning. When somebody walked into church this morning, did you see anybody? Did you look at what they was wearing? Or did you think in your mind, I wonder what they're thinking about today? What's in their heart? What's in your heart today? What's in our heart today? As we go through each and every day, I think about Roy, and I think about our little church and how the people are staying home, and it hurts me. It hurts me to see it, to see our little church like it is, because it hurts my heart. And we think about that. And I think about one night as I was going, I knelt down to pray as I do each night, as we all should do.
Yes.
And I was praying, and I just stopped praying and I started crying. Said, Lord, why has our church fallen away? What can I do to help our church? I think I prayed for 20 minutes, and I couldn't have been more to tell you what I prayed for than nothing.
Good.
Because I thought about the church, and I thought about the things that have happened and the way people have done today, and how we've fallen away from the church. We've lost our desire to come to church. Is our problem? He said in Psalms, he said, the Lord is nigh unto them that have a broken heart, and saveth such able of a contrite spirit. And that means your heart's bruised. You think about it. I think about that, and I think about what happens to us and how we think about our heart. And you know, we see people die. It's just like a piece of our heart goes with them as they die. We think about all the people here in our little church that have passed and gone on, and it's like a piece of your heart has went on. You think about them a lot. I think about a lot of the people that goes to church and that don't come back to church, or that have went on, and we think about that. But what you want to remember here, the Lord that looks on your heart. And he said, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. And I was thinking about that verse there, and I was thinking about Saul. When Samuel chose him, when God chose Saul to be the king, he said, I want Saul to be the king, and he's over Israel, the people of Israel, where they want a king. So he said, I've chosen Saul. Well, when Saul was talking to Samuel, as he turned to walk away, God gave him a new heart.
Right.
Now think about that this morning. He didn't reach in his chest and jerk his heart out. He didn't do that. What he done, he gave him an understanding heart. He helped him to understand so he could lead the people of Israel and with a clean heart. But see, Saul is like a lot of people that are Christian. They'll start out, they're way up here. Then if they don't get it, they start going down. And they're going down. Well, what happened to Saul? Saul just started going down. And King David came in and took over. But we think about that, and you think about getting a new heart. Today we can replace our hearts. They can replace our hearts. But they can't replace what's in our hearts.
Amen.
He said in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, he said, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Now you think about that. I'm having trouble breathing this morning, I'm sorry. He said, trust with all thine heart. Do we trust with all our heart? Do we really put our heart into it? Anything we do we put everything we have into what we do? And he says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. You know, I've got a brother that I love dearly, and I pray for him to come to church. I want him to come to church so bad. I can't stand it, and I try to talk to him. It's my brother, but he's hard to understand. And he uses words sometimes that I don't like to hear. And I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I told him. I said, now look, I don't want to hear that. You know, that's foolishness. It's not something that you need to say, because it hurts my heart to hear you say that stuff. But that's the way we have to say. If you walk across a mud puddle, you're going to get mud on your feet. Well, if you keep listening to things, watching things, and doing things, pretty soon, you're going to start that downward path. You know, it's easy not to come to church. It's easy. I'll stay home today. Next week, I'll stay home. And the longer we stay, the more we go down. I don't care what we say. We have to have bread. Our heart has to be filled with our church service, with our when we socialize and we talk about the Bible and the things that we do. We have to be filled. It's in Proverbs, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. And you think about that. You think about the issues of life, and you go through life, and I think about people. And I've talked to people, and I'll say, well, gosh, do they even have a heart? Have you ever talked to someone that was so hard and cruel that you felt like, man, do they have a heart? Think about that. Just think about somebody in your mind this morning that you've talked to or listened to, and man, they're just heartless. Think about that this morning, because there's some people I don't know. In Proverbs 21:2, it says, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the heart. Jesus Christ knows what's in our heart.
True.
He knows. You know, I can tell you can say, well, but you're a good guy. But God knows what he is. And that's what's important. God knows what's in our heart this morning. No matter what we think or what we do, what we say, how we act, it doesn't matter. He knows. And I think about that. Roger and Dreamer have been on my mind a lot. And Roger always wanted to ponder things and think about things. Well, that's the way I am. I like to think about things and try to understand things. You can learn more by listening than you can by talking. So I try to listen as much as I can, because I want my heart to be full. Because like I say, Jesus knows what's in our heart. The heart is deceitful above all things in Jeremiah 17:9 and 10. It says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. We can know it. The Lord seeth the heart, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doing. Now think about that one this morning. Do we really work? Do we work towards Jesus Christ? Do we work for the day coming when he steps out on that eastern sky and takes us all home? Are we doing the things that we need to do each and every day as we go through this world? Are we doing what when he's looking at our heart, is he seeing what he wants to see? What does he see when he looks at your heart? done a whole lot of writing, and I have to be careful because my writing's not real well. He said in Ezekiel 11 and 19, he said, and I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of the flesh, and I will give them a heart of flesh. And I think you think about that, and I would have you go back and think back before you became a Christian this morning. Think about back how you were before you become a Christian. What was your heart like? What kind of person was you then? But then you think about now that you've become a Christian, what kind of heart do you have now? Do you think He's took that old stony heart away from you? Has He taken that old heart? I'll see things before I'd make fun of people for doing it. And now I say, Lord, I feel sorry for them. Amen. Help them, Lord. You know, you think about that. He changes us, but we have to be willing to change with Him. We have to let Him work within us. Let Him renew our heart, renew our spirit. He said in Matthew 5, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Praise the Lord, I pray that I have a pure heart. I try. I really try to have a good heart, and I try not to watch things or listen to things that I think I shouldn't do. If I look at something and I think, well, this is not something I should do or hear, I try to avoid it. I try to stay away from it. Now my brother, like I said, I told him I don't want to hear it, and he doesn't say it around me now. Good. But you have to have a pure heart. Do we have a pure heart this morning? Do we have a pure heart? I think about Jesus Christ. It says, no greater love is any man to lay down his life for a friend. Think how much love Jesus Christ had for us to lay down his life for us. Think about that. He didn't even know us then. He knows, but now he died for us. And we can't even get up and come to church on Sunday morning. Heaven forbid. It hurts me so bad. You just... I'm sorry. He said, Matthew 15, 18, and 19, he said, those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, false witness, and blasphemers. And it goes back again to what I was saying a while ago. Some people just, they don't care. They have no desire. They think, well, eat, drink, and be merry, tomorrow you die. Think about that this morning. I don't want to eat, drink, and be merry. I want to live on, and I want to go on someday and be in heaven with Jesus Christ. And I think about that. And I think about why I want to see people that I have left. I think about my grandmother and all the people that have left that I love so dearly, how I would love to see them. I was thinking about my dad's been on my mind a lot here lately. What I would give to talk to my dad. I was 21 years old when my dad left this whole world. And you don't realize how much you miss someone. But you think how happy we'll be. Think of the tears that'll flow. Think how great our heart will feel when we walk into heaven one day. It'll be worth it all. It'll be worth it all. But we have to look past the end of our nose. We have to have a clean heart. It said in Luke 12, 33 and 34, it says, sell that you have, give alms, provide yourself bags which wax not old, a treasure in heaven that faileth not, where not thieves approach, neither moth corrupt. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Amen. Think about that this morning. Where are your treasures this morning? Where are our treasures this morning? I don't have any money. I'm poor. But I'm happy. I'm happy. And I think we have to be happy, each and every one of us. If we're happy and we put a good thing out for people to see. It's I don't mean to get, there's an old man that comes down to my brother's house. We're putting up a fence down there. If you ever put up barbed wire fence, it's a killer, I'm gonna tell you. But this old fella comes up and he talks to us. He's an old guy and he's different. He calls me preach, that's what he calls me. But you listen to this old fella talk and you know that he has never went to church. He doesn't know God. And you talk to him, and I talk to him about the different things that we do in church or that I've done in church, and he listens. that if we don't put that light out there for people to see, you know, what does people think if you don't put out a light for Jesus Christ? What do they think of you? People knows who I am, because I make them know. But we have to know. We have to let people know. We have to let our little light shine, no matter how little that light is, no matter how small that little light is. I look at our little church this morning and the people I see that aren't here that I miss. And I, you know, you can go through and I can pick them out where they sit. And you think about that. And it's just a piece of you's missing. It's just something's missing. But I want to have a pure heart. I mean that. In Hebrews 4:12, he said, "For the word of God is quick and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrows, and is discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart." Now he's telling us we've got to think with our heart. Do we ever think with our heart? You ever think with your heart? You know, if somebody asks you something, and you know that it's going to hurt their feelings if you answer it right, it's like Roy said one time about a little lie and a big lie. But if somebody asks you something and you know you're going to hurt them if you say something, what do? You got to think with your heart, is what I say.
True.
And you have to. You can't just say, well, he said you was the near knowest person I ever met in the world. He said your wife's ugly. Just, you know, you say all these things think about this, and how much you would hurt them. How much you would hurt them. So you have to, you think. I don't know where that comes from.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, boy.
But you think about that, and you think about that. Lord, what do I do? What do I do when someone says something like that to me? And people will do that to you. People will ask you things, and you know the truth, but you just can't tell it. You can't tell a baby's wife's ugly. I just don't know where that comes from. But I have seen some ugly people in the world. We'll go back to Genesis.
Yeah. Go back to
Yeah, let's start over. He said, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil.
Right.
And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart." So you see, Jesus' heart was hurt just like everyone else's was. You know, we think of Jesus as all powerful, as everything. You know, we think they're just evil, but he hurts. Now you think about this morning. If you do something wrong this morning, do you think it hurts Jesus' heart? It hurts his heart. He hurts just like we do. I can't imagine the hurt he sees in this world today when he looks upon each and every one of us. Sometimes some of the things that you see go on in this world. Pitiful. It said, "Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart, to judge the people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, thou so great a people?" And that was in 1 Kings 3:9. And you think about that, he's talking to Solomon here. And Solomon, I asked you this morning, if you walked out and you got in your car and Jesus sat down beside of you. He said, "I'm going to give you whatever you wish for." What would you wish for? I don't want to answer that, but I want you to think about that, because I give that verse right there a lot of thought. If Jesus walked into my house and sat down at my table this evening, you have your desire, what would I want? What would I like to see? What would I like to have? And you think about what would you like to have. There's so many things you'd like to have. I'd like to see peace on this earth. I'd like to see the brothers and sisters, everyone get along. I'd like to see the churches just run it over like they used to be. There's so many things I'd like to see, but I have to choose one thing this morning. What would you choose? So Solomon chose the right thing. He said, Lord, I'm just a child. He said, you had King David. He was he was big. He wasn't a big man, but he was powerful. And I'm just a child. And you asked me this, and what did Solomon ask for? He asked for knowledge. Knowledge to lead the people. Think how wise Solomon was. But then you think about Solomon, and you start thinking about all the wives he had, and all the concubines he had, and all the different things he had. And what happens? Just like everything else, we start going down. We think about King David. I think about King David, and King David was a great king. He was a great king. But King David sinned too. He sinned. We all sin and come short of the glory of God. All of us do. It's like we say we sin. We say we sin. The word's not in us. We went to church with a lady. We didn't go to church with a lady. The pastor said, "This lady said, I've never sinned." Can you imagine? Can you imagine saying, "I have never sinned"? I can't imagine saying I've never sinned. How perfect you'd have to be. Think how perfect you'd have to be. Go back to the number 1 Chronicles. It says that, you're like Danny, I think I pronounced that right. All these men of war. Now, this is a good verse here. This is a good verse. He said, all these men of war that could keep rank came with a perfect heart to Hebron to make David king over all of Israel, and all of the rest also of Israel of one heart to make David king. Now you think about this. You think if all of us here this morning had one heart, if we all had one heart, and we all had the same thing in our heart this morning, we had love and happiness and joy. We had all this in our heart this morning. Think what a beautiful place it would be. What a beautiful world we'd have. But all we've got anymore in this world, there's so much hate going around. It's just sad. You can't say your opinion because you done offended somebody. It's pitiful. But you just think if we'd all have one heart, just have love and happiness and joy. You know, you don't have to have a bank full of money and 14 new cars and all this foolishness you have to have in this world to be happy. You don't have to have all that stuff to be happy. I'm happy. I'm happy right here. So, but as in Matthew, I'm sorry. Nope, I'll go on again. Corinthians 2:9, it says, but as it is written, I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for them that love him. We got to come to him with a clean heart. We have to come before Jesus Christ one day. We're going to stand before judgment, and we have to have a clean heart. You know, you can say, it's like one of my favorite things to hear people say. You say, well, he hurt my feelings 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to forgive him, but I ain't going to forget. Well, if you can't forget, you didn't forgive him. Now think about that. I ain't going to forgive him, but I'm going to forget. I ain't going to forget. How, you're not forgiving him. Forget him. Forget it. Don't let life. What happens? What I have said right now left my mouth. I can't take it back. We can't take nothing back in this world. Now there's things that we do that we can atone for, that we can fix or help people do. There's things that we can do. But you think about your old tongue, and like I said about the ugly wife or whatever, you can say something that seems harmless. I tell Ethel Sue sometimes, well, I won't say much about people, but I think you got a loose tongue. It means you're loose on both ends and they're talking all the time. And you think about people that gossip and talk about, well, did you see what Butch had on First Church today? I didn't like that outfit he wore today at all. But you think about that. And I would not say anything to hurt anyone intentionally. I have sometimes.
Watch out.
Sometimes I'll slip things slip, but blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And I think about that, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And he tells us, many shall be called, but few will be chosen.
True.
And you think about that, and I got to thinking about Noah. And I thought about Noah, and I thought, well, here's Noah, all the people in this world. You think of all the people in the world back then, and you think about Noah. You know, why did God choose him? Why did God choose Noah? Why did God choose Abraham? You know, why did he choose the people he chose? Because they had a clean heart. And I really and truly believe that. I believe he chose them because they had a clean heart. And you think about Noah, you think that his family, through his clean heart, he saved his family. Well, I hope through my clean heart, I can save my family. I pray for my boys every night, every morning, and through the days. A lot of times I pray for my boys that I can get my boys into the church. Time. Sometimes we think time's not enough. I'll put it off till tomorrow. It'll be okay. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go to church next Sunday. It's like Roy said. I saw Roy. There's nights here at church, and I saw Roy up here. I could have sat right there and cried the whole service to see how hurt he was over our little church. Our church is important to us. It should be important to all of us, to each and every one of us, not just Roy. It should be important to me. It should be important to Danny, Ethel Sue, all of you. It should be important to us. And that's what I say. But I want to have a clean heart. No matter what I do as I go through this world, I want God to know what's in my heart. And that's important to me. And really this morning, that's all I have. I'll let Roy finish up. But I want you to think about some of those things this morning. When you think about people and you think about the sadness we have in this world, let's have a clean heart. Let's be clean. Let's be humble. I ask the Lord each day, Lord, make me humble. Keep me humble. Never let me get above what I should be. Anybody have anything you'd like to say? And I'll sit there.
Yes, since you mentioned heartless, and I've been trying to find a word for this young man that made a statement the other day, and all I could think of was devil. But he is heartless. My daughter-in-law came in the other day, and she was just beside herself. And she was at the neighbor's house, and the subject came up about the little 5-year-old that was shot. Hannah was his name. And this young man, 43 years old, looked at my daughter-in-law and said his parents should have never named him Cannon. That's heartless. I'm sorry. I mean, that was a tragedy in itself, but to be, you know, to make a statement like that about a child.
I've heard a lot of people say things that I've thought, Lord, that they just can't have a heart.
No, he couldn't have.
And he also is gonna reap what he sows.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything you'd like to say?
Pastor Butch, I just wanna stand and, I wanna praise the Lord and I wanna thank him for the love he gives us. He woke me up this morning and there was a lot on my mind, but my heart was for this church this morning. I said, Lord, let the ones that can come. We need our people back here. And I prayed for several things, but I also prayed that he would show me how can I be the best person I can be in this church? And what can I do? What do you want me to do? And I know one of my jobs is to pray for everybody here that's in the different positions in the church. And I began to pray, and I felt the love of God come over me for each one of you. So strong. And I just love him for that. He is just everything. And we don't give him enough praise. And the world is kicking him in the teeth. You know, and when I have an opportunity to share, I do. And sometimes people will be so negative about it, but I walk away and feel that I've done and said what the Lord wants me to say. And I pray for all of us that are in this battle to share his word. It's the most important thing that will ever happen in our lives, to reach the word, his word to the people. And I'm just so thankful to be in this church. This is a good place to be. And I love each one of you, and I praise the Lord with all my heart.
Bless you, Joey.
Anybody else have anything you'd like to say? Don't be afraid to stand up and say it. Say what's in your heart.
I wanna stand and thank him, I can't thank him enough,
Good.
ever, could I? But I wanna thank him because he gave me a happy heart. A happy heart, I mean, I'm happy,
Good.
and when I'm happy,
I'm happy.
I just feel, yeah. Well, anyway, I'm happy, I really am, and you know, I have seen a time in my life when I was miserable.
Help us all.
Well, my life was miserable, and I just felt like, you know, God, I don't wanna go on anymore.
That's right.
But he gave me something that nobody ever could ever give me the peace.
Bless him.
And the love that he's given me, and he's put in my heart. And it
Bless
makes
you.
me so happy. You know, all my life, I think I was just looking for something. And I found it. And I just thank him. And I thank him for giving me the desire, you know, to want to be in church and to be with God's people. I thank him for giving me that, because there's never a doubt on Sunday or on Wednesday, there's never a doubt but what? Unless something overcomes us that is unforeseen,
Right.
that we're gonna be in church. We're gonna be here. And this is where we wanna be. And I thank him. I thank him for that. I thank him for the peace and the love and the grace and the mercy that he's always shown me. And that I just hope that someday I'll be able just to really show him what and how thankful that I am. You know, Jesus gave his life for me. I mean, you know, for me. You know, I don't know, there's not a lot of people that I know that would ever give their life for me. And I just wanna thank him for that.
God bless you. Bless you.
Bless you.
God bless you.
Anyone else? What?
John. Your bones cracking. How you doing, Bill? You looking a little better, bud.
Oh, I'd like to say that.
This is feel great. When y'all appreciate the message, give us a lot to think about. I wonder if Solomon had any ugly wives when he died. I wouldn't mention it to him. He had a lot of them. Reminded me of a story though at Mammoth, one of the most special ladies that ever went to church, as long as I ever knew her. A lady had a baby that she brought, a new and I'll never forget that everybody would say, oh, that baby's pretty, it's beautiful. And when you talk about a lie, she told me a story. She said, I looked at that baby and she said, I lied to that woman. She said everybody else was talking about how pretty and beautiful. She said, oh, that baby's beautiful.
I don't say that, I say, oh, isn't it precious?
I never forgot.
My mom used to say, oh, I bet you're proud of it.
My sister said he was so ugly, she denied that he was her. She said, are you sure? You sure? Dad said, I'm sure. Yeah, thank God. Enjoyed your message, enjoyed the church, thank you for it, let's not get discouraged. Our Wednesday nights are so interesting. And I believe that people really, I knew when I got on this woman thing, it was going to really get good. And it did, so, you know, let's look at the church. Look at the women, look at the men, and then people say a woman ought to be silent in the church. She ought, you know, give me your $5. be silent until it comes time to sing. Give me your $5. So I'm thankful that he has no respect of person. Any comments, anything before we dismiss? It'll be service, of course, Wednesday, and then the singer will be next Sunday. We're thinking about moving the time as this virus goes on, as things, moving it back, getting our Sunday school back, work on some of the things. But if you could, if you have time, give Roger a call. He's there by himself. Dream is in the hospital. She said she had a heart attack. They said, and they're waiting to see about Monday what's going to go on there. Haven't heard the results of Norma's MRI.
You have to have surgery. I think the 23rd, isn't that right?
Yeah.
I think the 23rd she has to have surgery in her back.
Was it for a nerve, slip disc, or?
She's got a disc bulge, a bulging disc in her back, pressing on the nerve.
Okay.
What hospital is it?
I think Memorial. If I remember, I did ask him, I'm almost sure he said Memorial. And that's generally with the heart where they do go, is Memorial. But you'll struggle getting in.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get in.
And they have a list. I did try to stop by the other day to get in. You got a list and you gotta have a reference and
Are they at least letting family?
one at a time.
One at a time.
At least they're letting, are they allowing them, like,
From what I can understand, even like when Dick's mom was in the nursing home, he could go in one time and that was it. 12 hours in a 12-hour period. But the rest of the family, if it was another person, 2 people couldn't go the same day. So you would bump someone, as the rule is, the way I see it. But you could call.
at least they're allowing people though. I don't like people not, that's what's been bothering me so much. All these people in hospitals, and they don't have an advocate for them. They
True.
have no one.
True.
I just read an article where this guy during all this virus was like taking advantage of unconscious people. You know what I mean? You don't have an advocate. I don't like that. It bothers me.
He talks about evil, and we do. I thank God my mindset cannot see, even when I was a sinner, how anybody could abuse a child, kidnap, all this slave trade. And
Right.
I thank God when I see 2 children, I would think if I have to protect them, I just can't get how someone could ruthlessly be a mass murderer. I don't get it. And I thank God I don't get it.
After you walk up to a 5-year-old kid,
I just don't get it. But the thing that I see when I was a sinner, I didn't have compassion. Somebody could say if mom died or something happened to, it wasn't me, I just didn't have it. But I do now. Thank God for that. Love y'all. Let's all stand.
Pastor, I